If I really love what I do, I should want to shout it from the rooftops and
Mm.
not hide it from the world. I think a lot of people are afraid of coming across like a salesman. Big problem is they get to the close and they're so afraid to ask for the money that they just keep talking and they talk them into it. And then they talk them out of it, and then they talk them back into it, and then they
Okay.
talk because they don't know when to stop talking. I've made this mistake.
Okay.
I meet somebody and I'm going to take them through a sales process. And what do? I try to solve the problem right here, right now. One of the biggest mistakes is
Mhm.
solving whatever problem they have and giving them solutions during the sales process. Do you know what happens when you do that? They go, oh, especially when you're coaching women or taking them through the sales process, is they
Mhm.
really attach to that intuition side, the intuitive side. What's my intuition telling me? Wow, this guy helped me see what I want. There's my credibility.
Welcome back to the Mars Venus Coaching Podcast, where we explore what it really takes to build a thriving coaching practice. Now, before we dive into it, something very interesting. Statistically, only about 15% of our viewers are subscribed. And if you're getting value from this, from our conversations, from our work, do let us know by simply clicking that subscribe button at the bottom. It's a small gesture, but it really helps us grow this community. Now, let's dive into today's episode. It's about sales. Sales is the lifeblood of every coaching business. It doesn't matter how good you are at coaching. If you do not know how to offer your products, how to sell your products, you are going to get hungry. And the truth is, most coaches don't fail because they are bad at coaching. They fail because they don't know how to sell their services. And that is why we are going to talk about this issue today, about the 3, 4, 5 mistakes that most coaches make when they're trying to sell their services, and more importantly, what to do instead. With me, as always, is Richard Bernstein, CEO of Mars Venus Coaching. Thank you very much, Rich, for taking the time to talk to us about your experience, about your expertise in that field. Rich, you've been coaching for well over 20 years with all kinds of people. But let's start at the beginning. I mean, were you born a salesman? What's your story? Who taught you?
I don't think there's such a thing as you're just a born salesman. I think there has to be a desire to want to give something to people and they pay for it and they buy it. You have to believe in your product. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in your offer. And I think that the more you believe and the more believe you can do it and that it is a positive impact on lives or on, somebody's personal situation, the more then you are inclined to not feel like a salesman, but feel like you're really helping people to make a decision. I'm not saying everybody should buy from me, but if I really believe in what I'm doing, I should want to shout it from the rooftops and
Mm.
not hide it from the world. I think a lot of people are afraid of coming across like a salesman. If I really love what I do, then I'm really going to believe in it, and I want you to believe in it as well. So
Mhm.
that's a little bit of a fear that I think people have is I don't want to come across as a pushy salesman. I don't want to come across like I'm convincing or cajoling to get people to buy something. I think
Mm.
people have a negative connotation even to the word salesman. Nobody wants to be a salesman. I don't mind
Yes.
being a salesman because I love my product and I love the people I sell it to. And I think it's a perfect marriage.
So, is there such a thing as a sales mindset?
Yes, I think that people get, for example, in the old days, there was a lot of telemarketing going on here in the United States, and they had a habit of calling during dinner. And so that was such a negative connotation that every time the phone rang, if you're eating dinner, it's a salesman. So that negative kind of connotation of, salesmen are always pushy, salesmen are always slimy, they're sleazy, that to me is a mindset. And that's something that I think society has contributed to, maybe your household has contributed to, because people feel like I'm being bothered. Your salesman bothers you. Do you know what I mean? First of all,
Mhm.
I don't call people during dinner specifically for that reason. I don't want to come across as a sleazy salesman, but I don't mind being a salesman. I don't mind selling my product or service because I love what we do for people and I
Mhm.
believe in it. The problem is also is that ability to articulate what you do well and succinctly. That's part of the problem is people spend time trying to convince. And let me tell you all the features that we have and everything we can do. And there's too much selling in the sales process as opposed to talking about the benefits and talking about the features and talking about the result of. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make in any sales, not just in coaching.
So they talk too much about the features and not about the benefits.
Right, because you're not buying
Delivery.
this, you're buying the result of this. What does that get you? Where does that take you? How does that make you feel? Do you know what I mean? All of that is critical to the result of buying it, not just these are the features of that product. Yeah, I can go on all day of the features of coaching, but how does that really get into how is that going to help me? Okay, so we have an alignment session. So we have a positioning session. So we have a 90-day planning session. How does that help me?
Okay, can you give our viewers a specific example how you would phrase that into a benefit?
Well, first I'd want to take that feature. For example, an alignment. That is a feature that we do in the coaching process. We're aligning their head and their heart. It's a 9-page document. We spend a lot of time going through it. Really, what's your purpose in life? What are the whys underneath that? So what? Why do I do this feature? Because it brings clarity. And I can't really go where I want to go if I don't have the kind of clarity that's drilling down into my heart, not just into my head. It's not just what I want, but why do I really want that? Why is that important to me? If I can connect the what's with the whys and get underneath and understand what is that actually going to do for me to have this clarity? Not just you're getting clarity. So what? What does clarity get me? What it really gets me is it aligns the head and the heart. Because typically when I'm in conflict, my head wants one thing and my heart wants something else. So that creates a conflict. We all have that in our life. How do we align those so now I can really see what it is I want and why I want that? That's a benefit for me to get that kind of clarity. It's not the feature of the alignment. It's a great product. But why do I want it? Because it's going to bring me the kind of clarity so that I can move forward and have what I really want. I need to get all the stuff that's on top of it out of the way. So then I can really have the kind of clarity to move forward in my life.
Right. So with every feature of your product, you kind of create a why.
Correct. Why will that benefit me to have this feature? And if I don't ask myself that question before I present it to somebody, then I'm not going to be able to sell them. I'm not selling them an alignment. I'm selling them the clarity, the result they get out of the alignment makes a whole difference. And that's why I've always heard, if you want to be successful, you just need to be passionate. That is not true at all. Yes, you do need passion, and I'm very passionate about my product. But the real key is how you articulate that passion, how you articulate those benefits. Not just the benefit, but how do you articulate it? The words you choose paint a picture in somebody's head.
Very interesting. Okay, what's another mistake that you can think of that?
I'll tell you a big one, and I've made this mistake.
Okay.
I meet somebody and I'm going to take them through a sales process. And what do? I try to solve the problem right here, right now. One of the biggest mistakes is solving whatever problem they have and giving them solutions during the sales process. Do you know what happens when you do that? They go, oh, well, let me try that first. And then I'll give you a call next month. If you give them solutions, they will hang on to that and say, well, let me try that first before I buy anything. Thank you for that advice.
But don't you have to create like a sense of trust or a sense of expertise with your potential client?
No, you have to build credibility that I know what I'm doing. That's the credibility you have to build. And the way in which you do that is by showing them the vision that they want, not the problem you're going to solve and giving them solutions to that problem you're going to solve. The minute you do that, your sale is done. You will not sell them. Every 100% will say, great, let me try that solution. Thank you for the advice. And here's the problem. Here's the problem. If they don't have a coach to help them implement that solution, it's not going to work. And then what are they going to do? They're going to associate coaching as it doesn't work. I had a coach. He gave me this advice. They didn't hire me, but they said, I saw a coach. They gave me this advice and it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because we didn't implement it together.
So what do you do instead? So no, don't give away the solution. What do you do instead?
You show them that you've worked with people like that before, that you have the knowledge to help them navigate from where they are to where they want to go. So the
Mm,
first thing you have to do is show them clarity on where they are, and you have to show them clarity on where they really want to go. And not just, well, oh, I want to have a great relationship. That is a nebulous concept. What does a great relationship look like? And if I said that to you and said, okay, you don't know what a great relationship as a whole looks like, but what does a great relationship in the morning look like? When you wake up in the morning, what's that first hour before you both go to work look like? What is that
mhm.
when you get home at night? What does the evening look like? You know, cooking dinner together, lighting candles together, watching a movie together. What does an amazing weekend look like? If you can narrow it down to, you know, snippets of real, happy, beautiful, amazing relationship, and they see it, touch it, feel it, taste it,
Yeah.
you just showed me your credibility.
So summarize that for our viewers. What do you do? Well, you ask them the questions that will help them.
See where they are. What do they feel? What do they taste? What do they smell? What do they, the more senses you get involved in that vision that they want, the more they
Mhm.
want. And
Okay.
that, in fact, that line of questioning around the five senses that we have, including intuition, you could add that as a sense, right? Especially when you're coaching women or taking them through the sales process, is they
Mhm.
really attach to that intuition side, the intuitive side. What's my intuition telling me? Wow, this guy helped me see what I want. There's my credibility. Because I never went that far down the road. I never went
Mhm.
that peeling it apart into that kind of clarity. And now I feel confident that I can have it because I know what it looks like. I know what it sounds like. I know what it tastes like. And you're the
Mhm.
one who did that for me. You do that for me, you have credibility as a coach. Because then in my deepest thoughts, my subconscious, I'm thinking, wow, this guy got me to see what I really want. I've
Yeah, yeah,
never
yeah, yeah.
been there in my
Yeah.
mind, in my thoughts. And you got me to see that. There's your credibility.
Mhm.
Most coaches believe if I help you solve your problem here right now, you're going to hire me. That is the
Mhm.
furthest from the truth.
Well, I mean, sometimes I'm sure it might work, but most of the times it's just gonna, well, they've solved the problem, right?
Right. So I don't need you. And then
Well,
most of the time it doesn't work either.
yeah,
That's the
okay.
thing. You solve the problem. You solved it based on a different client or something
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
works for you. You don't know them well enough to solve that problem.
Hmm.
So all I'm really trying to do is build my credibility and build, as you said, my trust.
Hmm.
This is really powerful and big mistakes that coaches make.
Yeah. And what's another mistake people make?
Well, I think
Coaches
they
tend to make.
they talk too much about themselves.
Uh-huh.
They're really throwing in, you know, I did this and I did that and I've done this and I've done and I've trained here and I've done, you know, nobody really cares if you want to know the truth. You know what they
Hmm.
care about? They care about themselves, their issues, their future. They're not worried about you. And all you're doing is adding fuel to the fire of them not wanting to buy. Because that's
Hmm.
probably how they see a session going, is you're going to talk about or brag about, or everything is about you. Coaching is
Okay.
never about you, the coach. It's always about them. And so the real value that I want to give them, and this is an art form that takes time to learn and be trained on and be supported in, is how do I really help a person discover where they really are and where they really want to go? Because I'm going
Hmm.
to tell you another thing. And this is a big mistake they make as well. I want to say 90% of the time, whatever they think the problem is, it's not. There's something going on underneath. And if you can discover that what's really going on underneath, now you have that credibility and the trust as well. Do you see what I mean? I don't want to coach them on the symptom. If I'm not feeling well and I don't even realize it, I'm just not feeling up to speed, or I'm struggling financially, or I have these other challenges, and I'm coming to you for my relationship. As a coach, I want to discover what's going on underneath. And you go, wow, that's what it is. It's not my relationship, it's my finances. And this guy
Hmm.
helped me discover that. Now I have credibility and trust. You see how important this is? And most coaches don't do that. They coach you or try to solve whatever comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's causing that, just like a doctor would. I'll tell you a quick
Yeah.
story about that. When we had our first child, a couple months later, Valerie said to me, I don't know why, but my foot is hurting me. So I said, well, okay, let's go to a doctor. We went to a doctor, and the doctor actually said to her, before we do anything, I'd like to do a blood test. And I'm thinking, a blood test? Why don't you do an x-ray and see if there's something going on with her foot? He's
Mhm.
like, I'm the doctor, because I actually said something. And he goes, I'm the doctor. We're going to do a blood test. A
Okay.
week later, he came back with, she had gestational diabetes
Oh.
from having the first baby. It
Ah.
was not a foot problem. It was a blood
Mhm.
sugar problem. And so
Okay.
as a doctor, he wanted to know what's going on underneath, not a foot problem, but
Mm.
a blood sugar problem. So he put her on a different diet. He gave her some medication. And guess what? The foot problem went away. It
Yeah.
wasn't a foot problem. This is what we do in coaching and during the sales process.
Yeah. Well, I guess as a doctor, you have the advantage. You can say, look, let's do this procedure, and you do the procedure to find out. In coaching, I think the challenge there potentially is for people to open up. So you got to build that trust before they trust you. So how do you build the trust? Are there things you can say, you can do?
Yes, and it's the same as a doctor. Procedurally, they are thought to think it's not a foot problem. I need to do a blood test. I need to do a
Mhm.
panel. I need to see a CBC, complete blood count to see what's really going on in the body. We at Mars Venus train the same way. We have a line of questioning to explore and to build your trust as you're exploring what's really going on underneath. And so we do have a line of question, just like a procedure with a doctor, that we're going to get underneath that and underneath that and underneath that and underneath that till we really discover. And through that process, you are building trust. You are getting them to open up because you're not jumping to that bottom layer. You're doing it, I call it peeling back the onion. You can
Yeah.
learn to peel back the first layer and talk about this, and then the next layer and talk about that. And so they start building a trust level. You're building your credibility, and they're starting to really feel this guy knows what he's doing. It's just like a doctor's procedure. We're doing the exact same thing, but emotionally,
Mhm.
mentally, and physically.
Okay. Do you sometimes find that, or maybe you have a particular process at Mars Venus Coaching, but that coaches don't like to ask, or they feel shy to ask for the close or the sale or
Yes.
the
That's
project?
another big problem. That's
Uh-huh.
another big problem is they get to the close and they're so afraid to ask for the money that they just keep talking and they talk them into it and then they talk them out of it and then they talk them back into it and then they
Okay.
talk because they don't know when to stop talking. We
Right.
actually
So,
rehearse that at Mars Venus, where we
okay.
show you exactly how to present your program options and how to close your mouth, zip it, turn the key, throw it away, and shut your mouth. We
Uh-huh.
teach you to do that so that the person can process these three options you're giving them and let them process. But most people don't like the uncomfortable silence.
Uh-huh.
They just don't like that. So they want to fill the silence. We need the silence. That silence allows them to process. It allows them to think about it and go, which program do I want? Which one would be best for me? The more you keep talking on top of that, the more they can't process. And then they just say, no, let me think about it.
And this is something that you do or that the coaches learn at
Oh, in
Mars
our
Venus
training,
Coaching,
yes.
in the training.
In our training classes, and we actually practice that. Turn the key, zip, throw it away. Turn the key, throw it away. Just let them think. Let them process it.
And then is there a special phrase when to ask for the sale?
Which program do you think is best for you?
Right, right.
Zip. And we have a line of questioning to get there. But
Yeah.
that final question is, which program do you think is best for you? Zip.
Do you ask them when they want to start?
No,
Is it literally
no.
just that?
Which program do oh, okay, I think this program. Usually people with three programs will pick the middle. So they'll
Yeah.
say, I think that one. Excellent. When do you want to set up our first session?
So from what I hear, you've been doing this for well over 20 years. So you speak confidently.
That you have to do. Your body language has to be confident. That's what I mean by, really, really believing in your product.
Mm.
Yes, you have to be passionate, but the way in which you articulate, the passion will come through. People will read your passion. I am passionate about coaching, but I have learned over time to articulate what it is. And all it really is your vision. I'm not selling coaching. I'm selling vision. So I have to get that vision out of you first, and it has to be crystal clear vision. Crystal, so they see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, and now they have confidence that you can take me there because you're the one who got me to
You
see
brought it
it.
up. Yeah.
Right? Most people I've learned as a coach over the years, most people think in nebulous terms. I want an amazing relationship. There can't be anything more nebulous than the word amazing. What does that actually mean? Or I want to have a healthy lifestyle. What is that? It's great concept, but it's cloudy. What we really need is to bring them, and that's what builds your credibility, is bringing them that crystal clear vision of what is that. When you do that, they have confidence in you. I'm not giving them solutions.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about me. I'm building my credibility by talking about them. I'm building my credibility by getting them to see what's really going on underneath and where do they really want to go. Those are the two skills you have to learn. Nothing else is relevant in selling coaching.
And is there a particular process that you have at Mars Business Coaching, or do you find that coaches tend to jump the gun too quickly? Is that a possibility?
Well, I think that when you go through training, I think it's human nature to try it your own way first. So they try to convince, they try to sell the features, they do everything that we talk, try to build their credibility by telling you how amazing I am, how great I am, all my achievements. They make those mistakes. You know how I know that? I did that. I did that in the beginning. All of those mistakes. I tried to sell my credibility. I was CEO of a public company for 20 years. I tried to, they don't care. Goes in one ear and out the. I don't care. What I care about is what can you do for me, not what have you done in your past. So I've made that mistake. I've made the mistake of selling coaching, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and we're going to help you, and we're going to help you with your dreams, and we're going to help you with your goals. No. What are your dreams and goals? Let's get there first. That's how you build the credibility. I've made all of those mistakes, thank God, 20 years ago. So now I try to teach coaches how not to do that.
And would you say that, because we talk about gender intelligence all the time, right? Would you have a different sales process for a man than you would for a woman?
The process is the same, but the way in which we do each step is different. That's a great question because the process is the same. And just so you know that I've made these mistakes, I want to tell you a very quick story. When I first became a coach and I was taught the 4-step sales process that we use at Mars Venus, the first thing I said, because I've been selling for a lot of years, is I said to my coach, I don't understand why we do step 2 and step 3 separately. Why don't we put those together? I hadn't even had a client yet. I hadn't even coached a client. I hadn't sold one. And I said, why don't we put those 2 steps together?
Yeah.
And he said, Rich, do me a favor. Just do it this way and get 5 clients. As soon as you get to 5, do whatever you want to do. You want to change it, you want to put them together, whatever you want to do, just get 5.
Yeah.
I remember getting 5 clients and I kind of kept quiet that I got my 5th client, and then I had 7, and then I had 9, I had 11. And I remember one day my coach came to me like a year later and he goes, how many clients do you have? At that time, I think my answer was 17 clients I had at the time. Well, wait a minute. Weren't you going to stop me at 5 and change the sales process? Didn't you want to do that back then? And I said, Vic, it's the most amazing process in the world. Why would I change it? Why do we do that? I wanted to change it before I even tried it. I think that's human nature. And so what we ask our coaches at Mars Venus is just do it, get good at it, and then do whatever you want. Because every successful we have coach in our system, and we have hundreds of them that are really successful, they go, why would I change it? I'm not going to change it. It works exactly. There's a reason for every one of those steps is to prepare them to want to buy coaching from you.
Excellent. Speaking about bragging and positioning yourself as an expert, I heard that somewhere, or maybe I read it somewhere, that with men, you do want to name drop, you do want to position yourself, you do want to present your certificates and your status. Is that true, or to what degree is that true?
Yeah. On one level, because men are very achievement oriented. They're very goal oriented. That if you can show you've hit high achievements, if I say to a man that I'm a CEO of an international company, they go, "Oh wow," and I have a little bit of credibility. But you can't dwell on that even with a man. I can throw
Right.
that out, and then I want to do the same procedure with a woman because they are so relationship oriented. I never talk about being the CEO of anything.
Mm.
Talk about my wife. I talk about my kids being an amazing
Right.
dad, that I
Yeah.
pride myself on being a good dad and a good friend and a good husband. I could introduce myself as a CEO, but if anybody asks, what do you do? First thing out of my mouth to a woman is I'm an amazing husband and a great dad, right? I want to talk about the relationships in my life.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
very different between men and women. Yes.
Cool. Rich, to summarize, can we just have a quick overview of the mistakes that people do and like a quick sentence on what to do instead?
If I were going to give an overview, the first thing I would say is don't talk about you. That
Yeah.
right out of the gate. Don't talk about your achievements. Don't talk. What you really want to do is help them. They can feel if you're really helping them. If you're talking too much or
Mm.
solving their problem, as we talked about, you're going to lose them right away. If
Mhm.
you really talk about them, it's always about them. Where are you now? What is really going on underneath that? Well, what's going on underneath that? Well, what's going on underneath that? You can show your credibility by exploring what's really going on. Secondly, you then have to jump over to what do they really want and what does it really look like?
Mm.
That is the number one thing that will get them to say, this guy really cares. This guy cares about me. I'm not talking about my credibility. I'm building my credibility by, again, what's underneath where they are and where do they really want to go clearly. Those are the two things that will get you to sell clients effortlessly.
And it's the same for female coaches, right? Because I mean, it's two guys here talking, but this applies for female coaches just the same.
100%. Yes. The only difference is one, yes, I might talk a little bit about accolades. The other, I'm going to talk about relationships,
Hmm.
my relationships in my life, because she's going to connect that with, oh, he's a good dad. Oh, he's a good husband. Oh, he's a good, friend. Those are important. And we learn that at Mars Venus, what's important to a woman and what's important to a man. But the process we take them through is the same.
So it's not about pressure, it's about clarity, trust, vision,
Credibility.
credibility, and then asking that right way, right?
That's right.
Which program,
Which program is best for you?
and then zip it.
Zip it. That's it. And we tend to overtalk. And when you overtalk, I'm telling you, you're going to talk them out of it. They were
Okay,
ready to buy, and you keep talking.
fantastic. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Mars Venus Coaching Podcast. I hope these insights help you to avoid the common pitfalls and approach sales in a more confident and a more clear sort of way. If you'd like to go deeper, we've put together a free resource. We call it the Sales for Coaches Blueprint. It lays out exactly what not to do, what to do instead, so you can start enrolling your clients without the stress and the struggle. You'll find the link to that in the description below. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button below and make sure to join us again next Tuesday when we'll be back with another conversation to help you grow your coaching practice. Thank you very much.